All right, welcome to Daily with Dustin Diggs. Tim Nook is here, folks, from Please Advise. Check out that website right here. Definitely subscribe like I did. Fantastic podcast host. Puts me to shame. You know, this guy over here is a great podcast host. Has a great channel, so definitely check out that channel. Keenan Sargent's here doing a little co-hosting today.
Yes, sir.
Keenan's going to be filming this Saturday.
Yep. Saturday, next Saturday, we got some good guests, so don't miss it.
Yes. But Tim, how did you kind of come about being a host? Like, what gave you that itch to, like, I want to interview people?
I guess I've always wanted to be a talk show host. Like, I can remember being younger, sometimes when I stay home in the middle of the day, watching like Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, Montel Williams, and then even, you know, into the late night Arsenio Hall.
Oh, I love that.
You know, all of those types of people. Not so much the late show guys. They, I think, are a different demographic than I was able to understand. But I definitely related to Arsenio Hall the most, I say, of all the hosts. So I think that's where it started. And again, I've just always wanted to do it. I never saw a path for me to get there, you know, coming up. So it's just nothing that I ever really jumped off into, but it's always been a love of mine.
Yeah, so growing up, do you remember Arsenio Hall?
Of
Are
course.
you too young for that?
I was in the 90s.
Why, he came back for a while, but then, like, I don't know what happened.
I guess it's just like the whole change in vibe. It was weird.
Yeah,
like,
they did a reboot, and I just don't think he had the same, I don't want to say charisma, but I think his style of hosting was kind of dated, you know. So
yeah, I feel you on that too. And also, he came back when like the whole market is so obviously everybody has a show now. All these cable channels are so oversaturated too. It might have been an issue with that
because like the 90s were like so different.
But when I remember watching it as a kid because you know I liked Carson when I was a really young kid, but then all of a sudden like this Arsenio Hall guy came along and it was more kind of like. The audience was all into it. It was like more like it was just more hip, and it was his guests are like I don't know, a lot better. He had Hulk Hogan on there at one time, and
Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. So he did a lot more fun things back in the day when I was a kid. So did you like do like in high school? Were you like into drama? Were you into like acting, like performing arts at all?
I was. Give me 2 seconds so I can share this live.
Okay.
And then I promise you will have my undivided attention.
Yeah. So definitely check out Kicking It with Keenan this Saturday.
We're gonna be doing it at 5 o'clock because we got some prior engagements.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the radio show.
And then once we're on the 15th, we'll be back again at 1 o'clock. So for those of you that want to be guests on future shows. Hit your boy up. I got y'all.
Hit your boy Keenan up, yes. So going to performing arts, were you kind of like...
I did choir for a little bit. I was in the drama, I guess, wing. I was a part of the drama club. I didn't do a lot of it, though. Back then, I wasn't as... You know, outspoken.
Okay.
Outspoken as confident as I am now. So I think a lot of that played a part into it. But yeah, like I said, I've always enjoyed, I guess... being in the spotlight or wanting to be in the spotlight. I'll put it that way.
I was very introverted. Were you introvert ever in your life?
I mean, a little bit. I was kind of mixed up. I wasn't as like outspoken or just kind of sporadic now. I'm just back then it was a little bit quiet, but then I always wanted to have that place to kind of be shining too. So I did do singing, did do drama. So
yeah, I definitely couldn't sing. I'd have sold my soul to the devil to be able to, but I did not get blessed with that. So I had to learn how to talk. So I'm not going to say I was a part of any one specific group, but I kind of, bounced around. So I was known, but not popular, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So as you got older, how did you get, because you have so many great guests. Like I said, I reached out to you after I saw the one with Strings, EMB, which is man, that guy has character, and
I love that guy.
Just being around that guy makes, not that I'm a bad person, but it's just like that, like it makes me want to aspire to be better, just because he's such a great personality.
I promise.
Great
I
soul,
promise.
yeah.
And so genuine, so humble, so down to earth. Like even when you try to compliment him, he finds a way of making you feel better about yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He does that switch on you. Yeah.
Really well. But
how did you kind of? Was it from just doing the podcast and it caught fire, or did you kind of know a lot of these people? Were you in the music scene? Like
no, not at all.
Yeah.
I was never a musician or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when I started back, when I first originally gonna start, in my mind, I thought I was going to be more of a, gossipy kind of talk shit about, current events. I thought it was going to be kind of that.
Yeah.
But once I cut the camera on and like looked into it, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be that guy. So I wanted to have more substance to my show.
Right.
I wanted to have better topics. I wanted people to, be able to relate to it, not so much just laugh at it. So I think that's why I kind of started more leaning towards a talk show than just a podcast. Like I never wanted to just, kind of sit in a room and just talking to a microphone and, have my voice broadcasted. No, I wanted people to be able to see me. I wanted them to be able to kind of experience it with me, I guess is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have so many great interviews. Like I said to people out there, please subscribe to Please Advise.
Because I did.
Please.
Thank you. That's a little rhyme. But you have a lot of, like, I really respect what you're doing because, like, I love the podcast where you talked about, it was talking about the interracial relationship.
Yes.
You talked about working, with interacting with coworkers, and you talk about different types of growth. It's almost like you're kind of like a Tony Robbins in the sense that you give good advice as well as it's very informative, and it's a kind of a feel good kind of show. That's what
Absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. I say I have lived a lot of life.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have so many experiences and so much, I guess, wisdom is the word I want to use to be able to share. But at the same time, I don't want to just, be like, hey, I'm this old guy, listen to me. No, that's not what I want. But I do want people to take something away from every, I guess, interaction they have with me.
Right.
And even when I talk to people when I first meet them or if I've known them for a long time, they seem to always say, you know what, you give really good advice. And I don't even think it's so much that I give great advice. I think it's because I actually listen and I relate to it in an unbiased way. Like I try not to pick sides. I try not to say, well, since this is my friend, I'm automatically going to agree with you.
You don't want to be the middleman.
I don't want to be the middleman. I'm a Libra, so I need my scales very balanced.
Libra here.
So, exactly. So I like to step away from the situation and just call it on both sides. And I think by doing that, people can either find their own solution to it or be able to accept it better.
Right. I felt that way too when I was like listening to you, especially like which I find hard because I know Bill Burr does is like people that can just talk to the camera with no guest. Like I try to do like interviews,
just vlogs
down here by myself, and I the virtual like interviews. I usually have my girlfriend just sit down here because I feel weird talking to a computer with nobody in the room.
I promise. Like you see, when I first started, it was just me, and I did a couple of episodes like that, and I was like, you know what, I can't just talk to nobody. And by these episodes, you can see they're very short, 9-10 minutes. It literally took me 8 hours to record that 10 minutes because I would go back there and I'd be like, okay, I'm ready. And I would cut the camera on and I would like stir it for 45 minutes and then I'll smoke 2 or 3 cigarettes and I'd get up and go to the bathroom. Like it was such a process.
Minute breaks.
I promise. It was such a process for me to get started. Like I said, to produce that 9 minutes was literally 8 hours of me sitting back in the back room.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when I did my YouTube, I probably did the same thing. Did interviews like later in time.
Yeah.
But mostly I'll just do probably like one shot. Like if it's a game, one shot, turn the camera around, TV, turn it back around, pow, there you go. But I mean, like, it's okay to start by yourself. That's good. Kind of get to see how you are behind camera before you gotta go on with your projects.
Exactly. And again, and also to even add to that, I had planned on doing it with somebody else, my best friend, but he unfortunately passed away early last year.
Oh, my condolences.
Sorry, yeah.
So once that happened, I didn't want to not do it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to look back and be like, "Ooh, I should have did this," or now I feel like I'm too old or too settled in, this type of lifestyle or whatnot that I can't go back and do it. So that was by far the biggest catalyst for me to go ahead and just jump out there and do it.
The shoulda, coulda, woulda moments.
Exactly.
And so, if you don't mind me asking, so was that really kind of maybe a little bit of a fire to be like, okay, I got to do this for him?
Absolutely. It was the fire. Not even like a little bit. It absolutely was. He passed away early March. And I think it was right at the end of February, early March. I know the funeral was in early March, but I think he had actually passed like right at the end of February.
Oh, like right before COVID kind of kicked in.
This was
last year.
Yes,
my bad.
This was I was like, COVID was definitely there.
2020 still in my mind.
right. It seems like it's all bunched together.
It does. It seems
so
like
quick.
we missed a year in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happened, and then I aired my first episode April 1st. So it was literally, I was like, okay, you know what, I have to do it. And plus, I think I needed a way to deal with it.
Kind of be able to grieve and cope with it.
Yeah, I have become a lot more open nowadays than I was, and I think this is definitely helping me with it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that want to do things and they talk about doing it, but like the thing is like when I decided to do it, I just jumped into it. Like when I started, like it was just like your podcast you have here. I just kept building onto it, adding lights here and doing whatever I could when I could.
Yeah.
And so like my advice to people out there is if you want to do something, even if you don't think you have the right tools or you're not ready to do it, just
where's the camera? Is this me right here?
That's the camera. Just that's the camera. Just do it. Just do it.
Yes. Just do it. When I started sitting back there in my spare bedroom on my little futon, I was not ready. And people always say never start something when you're ready because you'll never get there. So I was not ready, and then I literally just cut the camera on and started talking and just build from there.
And with time and patience, you definitely build from a better perspective.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They're starting from, like you said, your futon. Then you got the backdrop and just more decoratives. And then, like I said, people getting a feel of that. They've seen change, whether every video or just later on in life.
Absolutely, that first season. Oh my god!
And I want to put is that a pillow? Yes.
Yeah, Captain America pillow.
I salute to you, brother.
As you should. As you should. Captain America is the greatest American hero. He really is.
Yeah,
I give him that.
I don't even know. I don't know where to go after that one. So you started doing it by yourself, and then when was the first guest like you had on?
The first guest was Tiff. She's actually a really good friend of my partner. That was episode 6.
107?
Yes, the mid-season finale.
Okay.
I knew that. Because again, I've modeled this to be a talk show.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted it to be a web show or a talk show or whatnot. So that's what I modeled it as. So I wanted to have seasons. I didn't want to just put content out every week, forever. No, I wanted it to be structured. I wanted, the seasons to kind of have some type of theme to them or whatnot. So anyway, this was the mid-season finale. And I knew from this point, from the moment she sat down next to me and we started our conversation, I knew I could never sit there by myself again.
Right. I did watch part of this one. I was trying to get as much in as I could today. And you guys did have a really good chemistry.
Funny story.
Yeah.
This final product, this was another long day. When we did our first episode, oh my God, it was slamming, it was banging, it was the best. Went to watch it, mic's not plugged in, no sound. A whole hour and 10-minute conversation, no sound.
Man.
So she decided to come back. We did it again, a second run. Right. That one was probably about 45 minutes. That time, the camera had accidentally cut off. So it cut off like half the interview. So this here is like, although it doesn't come off like that when I watch it back, but me knowing seems like it's very rehearsed to me because it's like the same conversation we have been having the whole day.
Right. It's like take 3 of it.
It really was.
I couldn't tell. I mean,
I've been there before. Yeah. It sucks, but it's better the second time.
Yeah.
All right, third time the charm.
We have technical issues all the time.
Third time definitely was the charm because I don't think she was going to come back again.
Like, listen, okay, I just talked about this. Like, I don't want to do it again.
Right.
So that's how I kind of started doing this show. Like I started, and then I just started having my friends like Keenan across the table from me, and I kind of built on. Then there was like Keenan's friends or friends of friends, and then I started having complete strangers. Can you remember the time where like you didn't ever meet this guy in the flesh and you had him on?
Yes, that would be the first artist that I had on for this current season, Op Keith. Great young man if you've ever met him. But he was the first. He'll be episode 202.
202. Okay, I'll pull up for good little. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the first person that I had on the show that I did not already previously know. I don't think I was that nervous though, because when they come, I normally don't just come and bring them straight to the studio, then we just start talking. Right. I normally have them come there a little bit earlier than I plan on starting the film. We'll have a couple shots. We'll, do those types of things, kind of build rapport. That way I kind of get a sense of, for one, how they talk, so I will know, how to talk to them. And then for 2, I want to build some type of familiarity so that when we do jump on camera and start talking, it's not awkward or there's no dead air.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I used to have that problem too. Well, I still have issues, but with that, I don't want to act like I'm all that or whatever. But like with dead air, and then my thing is when they come in, I try not to. I'll talk about the weather or something like. But if it's, I don't want to talk about their art or anything because I kind of want my questions to be fresh. So any conversation. When people come over, when they're getting set up or whatever, I try to keep it just something that I'm not going to be talking about on air, but I do try to make them feel relaxed because that's very important.
Absolutely.
I also find what's really hard is to start the podcast. It's always kind of because like you said, you got to kind of figure out how to talk to them and kind of figure out like are they going to be a talkative person or not, like
find the comfort zone and whatnot.
Right. So I always feel like my first couple minutes of each podcast is a little like shaky, but then it kind of gets into it,
Yeah, I thought I'd had kind of fixed that when I did season 1. When people would come on, I would ask them first impressions. For one, it puts them on the spot, but at the same time, that breaks the ice right there.
Right.
Like you can't back up from that. If somebody asks you what's your first impression, like you have to tell them, you know what I'm saying, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah.
So that kind of broke the ice there. But then when I started having people that I don't know, like I can't ask him first impression. He just met me like 15 minutes ago. You know what I mean? But luckily they were, artists and they had stuff going on so I could kind of introduce them that way. And then I also asked them, how would you like to be introduced? Like I think sometimes people... Well, I ain't gonna say people, but other interviews that I've seen, they kind of skip that part. They just jump straight into the conversation without really introducing the person. So I always ask them, how would you like to be introduced? What would you like me to say, before I say your name? Because once I say your name, you in it. So, you know what I mean?
So the title card.
Right, exactly. So tell me what you want me to, how you want me to build up to your name. And they always give good feedback, or sometimes they just say, I don't care, say whatever, and I have to, pull from my imagination. But I find that helps a lot, that little bit of introduction.
Yeah.
And you put respect into that, that's definitely honorable for you. Like, hey, what do you want to go as? Or, hey, what do you want to be introduced as? That's, I never done that with a few people. I mean, I say like, hey, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to who you are. Like every time I did interviews back then.
Yeah, well, especially the hip hop names, like the spelling is not really how you would say it. So I always got to check with like those artists. I'm like, okay, how do
I say this?
Right. Okay. And so, but I always try to do my research like a couple hours before the guest comes, so I kind of know what they're kind of promoting, what they're kind of about. So that way I'm not too lost of asking questions that are kind of like, because I try to make it not that I'm in competition with other podcasts, because I don't feel like we're in competition, but
it's more than enough viewers,
right?
Yeah,
and it's a lot of hours.
They share the content,
plenty of cake out there for everyone.
Exactly.
But like, I just kind of want to ask something maybe a little bit different than they're used to, or whatever. Kind of go somewhere maybe they haven't gone before. Maybe do you feel the same way?
I do, and that's why when I do mine, I try not to even use the term interview. I don't want them to feel interrogated, or I don't want them to feel like I'm asking a question and you're just answering. What I like to call it is combined conversation. Yes, I am going to steer the conversation a little bit because I do want you to share certain things. I want you to be able to, I try to get them to tell stories of, where they may have started here and overcame that, because again, it is called Please Advise. We want you to take advice away from the show in some form.
Right.
So when I am asking my questions, I do want them, that's why I always ask them to start from the beginning, because, when you start from the beginning, you have no choice but to tell the bad part to get to the good part.
Right. Well, that's what I feel too. I feel like that's why I love having just all different types of people on this show, because everybody has a great story.
It's the stories for me. It always is.
Yeah.
It always is.
And I just, like I said, you have a great story. I'm listening to it right now, and Keenan has a good story. What going into like the future seasons? What's your outlook? What's your dream of where you could take this? Because I think like I said, I think you do a fantastic job. I'm a fan, and I think
Thank you.
I think the show could be big.
If I had the resources, I would definitely want to film in front of a live audience. Because again, I really want to be a talk show host. Like I can't express that enough. Yeah. So if I could have the resources, yes, I would definitely have like a normal place where I film every week or so. I would definitely have a full set. I would have an audience, and it would literally be a talk show. The guests would of course get bigger and bigger, but I will always want to still stay true to the St. Louis theme. I will always have new artists. I will always have people who are not even artists. Anybody who's trying to do anything in the entertainment world, whether it be another podcaster, whether it be somebody who likes to, draw abstract paintings, or I had a violinist on this season where I invited an educator and found out who was a violinist, but anything, like literally any type of person
it's a cultural type of thing, or like
anybody that's making
genres.
An impact. Exactly.
Have you tried doing? Because I watched the ones I've seen here. I didn't see one, but like virtual. Do you do Zoom calls from people out of like St. Louis? Have you tried that yet?
I have not tried that. Yeah. I would definitely be open to that.
Yeah.
This season, I wanted to strictly only do people from St. Louis. That was my thing for this season, highlighting local St. Louis talent, whether it be singer, dancer, educator, whatever you do, promoter, whatever you do. I wanted to highlight that, and that you come from St. Louis. So that was this whole season. But going into season 3, I have been contacted by people who are not so local. So that's definitely an option for me. I would prefer them sitting right there.
That's what I was going to.
I would always prefer to be in person.
Yeah.
But I understand.
I understand what's going on in the world, but it's just a different type of feeling when we sit across the table and we look each other in the eyes.
I agree.
And we're able to
just FaceTime on Facebook or whatever.
Right.
Like you do that at home with a friend. That's one thing.
I do that at work. That's like a interview to me.
Like a studio.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But when they right there again, we're having a conversation. I can see your body language. I can feed off you. You can feed off me.
Right.
I can notice little twinges where it's something you might not want to talk about, or I can notice you lean up a little bit when you do want to talk more about certain things. Those types of things are what I want to read into and get from the person to keep the conversation interested and going. And I feel like sometimes that gets lost via the screen.
Yeah, if they're sitting across the table, they have their pants on and all that kind of stuff. If they're on a Zoom call, you don't know what they got under. A shirt guy or something. Yeah,
I could be wearing a cup, but
you could be. But no, you could be.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just a different type of feeling, and I don't know if I could. You could do it. Well, he does
like radio.
You could do it from an audience. I don't know if I'm not much of a. I don't know.
Because I think
I don't know if I could do audience.
Because even then, when you were talking about your favorite talk shows, your favorite was Arsenio, right?
Correct.
So you take that vibe and you got others like Maury, Ricky Lake, Geraldo for a little bit, Jerry Springer, and for some of those guys, some of those guys can be entertainment, others guys can be just regular talk.
Right.
So I think the difference with that compared to what we're doing now, we're doing a podcast where it's just a smaller studio. But unless we did radio, it wouldn't matter. You can call someone on the phone and it's still a radio interview.
Correct.
I could see having a show like I think his name's Andy Cohen he's from St. Louis. He has a show.
Andy Cohen is from St. Louis. Yes.
But I could see you having a show like that because I can see people really opening it. Well, I see it, but I mean really opening up to you, and that's why I like watching his show because he kind of goes where a lot of people don't go with certain celebrities and kind of treats them a little bit different. It doesn't put them on that high pedestal. They're kind of yeah. And I could see that with a show like that
because they are real people,
right?
You know what I mean? I mean, be like some of them that have walked in. I'm not gonna say I've been super starstruck, but some of them I'm like, I can't believe they came. You know what I mean? But I have to know how to still talk to them to where they don't feel. I know that they feel like I'm a fan and that I respect their art and all of that type of stuff, but I don't want them to feel like I'm walking on eggshells when I'm talking to them either. I want us to be on a level field, and in order for us to be on a level field, I have to not treat you like a superstar celebrity.
Right.
That's the word I'll use.
Yeah.
But even though they are phenomenal talents, but I still need you to understand that when you sit across from me, we here.
Right.
We see each other.
Yeah, I think there's so many great St. Louis artists and just people in St. Louis, but I've never had that feeling that they felt like they were higher than me. It's like everybody's been very humble in my opinion so far. I've been very, very blessed. Everybody's come through here has been very nice, very respectful in my house, and just really, really talented people. But I've had a bad apple yet. Have you had any bad apples?
I have not had any bad apples.
I
tell you, no, I really haven't. Everybody that has come has been very nice. Again, like you said, very humble, very appreciative. I think that's the part that hits me the most is how much they appreciate. Like they always say, "Oh, thank you for doing this," and I'm like, "Listen, you are definitely doing me the bigger favor."
Right.
You definitely are. But it makes me feel good to get that acknowledgement from them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something like, tell me if you feel the same way with St. Louis right now. I think like St. Louis seems so tribal and so like, different with the different music groups, different film groups, different comedians and stuff. But like, I think what you're doing and maybe what we're doing here is we're kind of like breaking those walls down. We're really building a really great community.
Open the passage.
And so,
Yes.
I feel like something really big is going to happen in St. Louis in the next year because I feel like we tapped into because I've doing this show. I thought like maybe it's got very successful and people have been watching it, which I appreciate. But we definitely tapped into something that's like St. Louis, like the radio stations, the TV stations aren't highlighting all these great artists.
They're not.
Yeah,
they're definitely not. They're definitely not. And I think that was another reason why I wanted to open up to having artists on too. For one, the exposure. I gain exposure from them, they gain exposure from me.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mutually beneficial situation. But at the same time, I get to look into their world, a world that I prayed that I would be able to get into, but I wasn't blessed with the right talents. Right. So again, I live vicariously through them sometimes. I think when they tell their stories of, how they broke into it or, how they get in a, creative modes or whatnot, that it really amazes me. It absolutely does. And I'd be so jealous, but at the same time, I'm so curious and I want to know more. I do.
Right. Yeah. Same here. Yeah.
And like I said, for St. Louis, we have talent, or in any city whatsoever, wherever you're at,
the most talent.
You have talent, but you have to have the right platform and have the right motivated and dedicated people and mentors to kind of lead you.
And not only that, you have to have people who are successful to, I'm not gonna say pull you with them, but you do have to, when you obtain a level of success, you do have to look back and help the next generation come up. Like, you absolutely have to. Like, that's why when rappers or even musicians get so far ahead, they start opening up their own labels, they bring in new artists, because you have to give back. You have to see yourself in the next person or want to drink or believe that, the next person can make it too. You have to. I feel that way.
So what are the people or what are the things that kind of driven you to, be sitting behind a camera or be sitting in front of a camera and kind of knowing what you want to talk about and knowing who to bring onto your show to kind of get a pleasant topic out?
Okay, so I don't know what I want to talk about. I literally don't. When they come, they always say, "Oh, what we gonna talk about?" And I literally tell them it's just open conversation. I don't like to have topics because when you have topics, it's hard to steer the conversation because they already have in their mind what they want to talk about that topic. So I don't like to let them know what we gonna talk about or anything like that. I just tell them to watch the other episodes and kind of get a clue of how the conversation will go. So again, I don't give topics. Well, in season 1 I did, but that was again when I was still learning, still trying to grow and understand what I wanted my show to be. But now that I, understand what I want now, I will do topics, of course. I do have some topics planned, but for the most part, it's always going to be open conversation.
That's what I noticed too. You don't have notes, and I don't do notes either unless I might do little notes if they have songs. That way I have to pronounce it right. But what I do is my secret here. I'm going to reveal it to the audience. But I have my laptop here, so we'll have an open conversation. Let's say it hits like a dead end and there's nothing to say. I'll be like, oh well, let's see what this video is, and so then I just go to the video, so that way it doesn't skip a beat and there's not that awkward. So that's if I didn't have the laptop, folks, I would
it would be some dead air.
It'd be silence. Yeah.
See, and that's why I when I ask questions, I try not to ask yes or no questions. I try to ask very open-ended questions. I try to ask questions that require them to kind of sit back and think about it a little bit and, and form a big answer, because that's what I want, a big answer. Because when you give me a big answer, then I can listen for the small details that I want to, hinge on to or kind of dive deeper into.
Yeah. I do the same. Yeah, I do similar like that. Yeah. So, see, this is where I'm going to laptop. So, one thing I want to talk about, I love that, like I said before at the beginning of the podcast, you talk about like subject matters that are really important, like this one on episode 10 of the season finale, or is it
110?
110? Yeah. You talk about race. You talk about relationships. You talk about interracial dating. a lot of people are scared to like touch those subjects, and people are trying to stay, I guess, PC and not get too controversial. But I think what you do is you really make it more inviting so it's a really good conversation where people can really listen and understand.
Exactly, and I think that is why I invite regular people, like somewhere in there it say real advice from real people on real topics, because I want real people. I don't want some, like if we was talking about math, I would probably have kids talking about how they do math. I don't want to have a college professor teaching. I don't you
want to hear a kid's perspective.
Exactly. I want to hear their perspective on a certain situation. I don't want to be lectured to. I don't want to be politicized. So when you have people who are, I'm gonna use the term unrecognizable, because really they are unrecognizable. They can feel more free to express themselves. Whereas if you have somebody that is already in the public eye, they only want to say this or they only want to say that. So I think when I talk about the more serious topics, I have people who are, just
the average Joes or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why I like. That's what I like. Yeah. That's what I like about it.
I don't know if I'm like very specific on the guests I bring, but like I said, if you do anything cool, do anything interesting, like, hey, come on by. That's basically how I go on it.
That's me too.
Like, unless I have like a very, very relatable topic I want to try to get over, then okay, I'll be like, okay, I need to find this one, I need to find someone with that, But you're like I said, you're open door. So anyone that does anything interesting, or anyone that has like the same like shared similarities towards that,
If somebody was to come in my inbox and say, hey, I watched on one of your shows that you like talking about comic books. I have been dying to have this conversation about so-and-so and so-and-so with somebody. Would you be open to that? You goddamn right. Come on over. Let's sit down. We'll have a drink, and we will talk about goddamn superheroes. I love superheroes. I could talk about superheroes all day.
Superheroes, games, and anime.
Exactly. And from that conversation, I guarantee you it will turn into another type of topic, or I will steer it towards another type of topic. So that way, again, you get some substance out of the episode rather than two people just talking about people flying around in capes.
Right. Yeah.
You bring it out more.
You said something earlier. You used to ask the guest first impressions. What's your first impressions of us? Right.
See, like I'm not gonna literally just mentioned. Let me tell you something else about Nook. I tell it just how it is, straight up.
I was just kind of wondering.
But no, first impressions. I mean, I from the last, how long I've been here? About 45 minutes.
32 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been work though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you called me upstairs. We took a couple photos. That was fun, and then it was sit down and it was work. Okay. So I don't think I've had time to properly form a first impression. Okay. But what I will say is I love the setup. Yeah. I like how you are.
Oh, I wasn't fishing for compliments, by the way. I was just.
But as we are having this conversation, you definitely seem cool. You seem like you are more of a sit back and observant type. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's what I get from you.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? You just got a cool vibe to you. I feel like are a lot.
He's coming
more. I think you are a lot more expressive. I think you are moderating yourself for the cameras, but I think you are a lot more expressive. I think you are a bigger person. That's what I think.
I think you hit the nail on that
one. I'm tearing out here.
Thank you. Wait, the camera's on me?
Yeah. I meet a lot of people in my normal everyday line of work. So I learn how to read people. I learn how to build rapport. I learn how to take physical cues and all that type of stuff. So
everyone wants to look good for everybody to a point now.
Correct.
But just lay it low, keep cool, and then there you go. We love you.
Do you want to talk about your first? What's your day job? Can we mention?
I work in HR. I'm a talent acquisition specialist. Yes.
Okay.
So I recruit people. I help people find jobs, basically.
So that's probably what really helped you develop. What do you think? What do you think helped you develop the skills that you? Because obviously, I think you're very talented, and I don't mean to keep kissing your butt, but obviously, what do you think helped you build the skills that you have doing this podcast?
Definitely what I do during the day.
Yeah.
Ever since I've gone into recruiting. Okay, so when I was in the military, I decided I wanted to be a recruiter. So in the military, when you become a recruiter, they send you to a recruiting school. So I went to a whole school for I think it was maybe 12 weeks down in Pensacola, Florida, and I learned all about literally how to talk to people, how to listen, how to feed off how they speak, how to, relate to them, all that type of stuff. So I think that I've carried that through every other professional role that I've had, those types of skills, and which naturally led me to being a recruiter, to talking to people, recruiting people to do jobs, talking to them about, their life goals and how they want to get there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all those things. And then just over the years that I've been doing this, it's just become kind of, I guess, part of my just natural behavior.
Right. What types of pointers did they tell you in the military training? Like, what's some kind of things you could tell the audience here? What's some key things when talking to somebody, or you're saying?
Okay, so the biggest thing is listen. And when I say listen, I mean listen with intent. Sometimes people hear what you say and then they interpret what they think you said.
That happens a lot. Yes.
Yes. So what I would advise people to do is literally listen to the words they use, listen to the order of the way they use it, listen to how they inflict certain words and not some other words. Somebody could say something and you could be focused on 2 words that they said and not have heard the whole sentence, and you take it completely out of context when that's not even what they're saying. So what I would say, the biggest thing is you definitely have to listen. You have to let people complete their sentences. You have to allow people to express themselves, because if you can't listen, then how can you properly respond?
Both ways possible.
That's a good one.
So I was going to mention this earlier. We were talking about when you first do your camera and whatnot. For both ends, whether you're a host or whether you're the guest. For a host, they can get nervous because they don't know what to ask. For the guest, it could be their first time on an interview, it could be second or third, doesn't matter. Both ends, they work together when you really kind of just say I can ask him this, or I'm pretty sure he does not like that, or whatever. You kind of just study people, like we said earlier. Yeah. So with that development, it does help out for the future shows and whoever else you bring, and it makes you feel more open.
Exactly, and word of mouth travels fast. So when you have somebody on and you impress them with your hospitality or with the way you conduct the interview, et cetera, they're going to talk about it. And they're going to talk about it, then whoever they talk to about it is going to talk about it, and it's just going to spread like this. So I'm not going to say people will expect certain things, but at the same time, they kind of know that they don't have to look for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you go on certain shows that are really gossipy and shady, you have to be mindful of what you say or how you say it, or things like that, because again, that host is looking for that type of shade to bring more into it. As where with me, I could give a care less what you got going on out there in them streets. Listen, don't bring no weapons to my house and don't bring no drama. You could be into it with Tom, Joe, Bill, and Susie. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I'm not going to ask you about none of that. What I'm going to ask you about is your upbringing, your influences, and your art.
Their problem, not your problem.
Correct. And don't bring it to my house.
I had a host I respect a lot, and he's a big host in St. Louis, but we had a sit-down conversation off camera, but he was saying how, you should really just focus instead of doing these interviews with artists, because you're not going to really get the numbers. Go off doing current events, talk about what's going on in the news and things like that. And I don't want to talk about what's going on.
Who wants to talk about Corona?
Right.
Because what else is going on?
Well, who wants to, it's kind of like, even whatever numbers I get, I'm not worried about the numbers. I just want to talk about the process of people, how they work and the way they create stuff. And that's kind of always been my fascination being an artist, seeing how other artists create. So, but I kind of respect. I respect that guy, but I respect the people trying to not do that, like you're saying, of just trying to catch, let's talk about this current event, what's going on in the news right now, just so we can get some views and get a bunch of people pissed off or get a lot of people
It is not about that for me. It's absolutely not. I mean, I have heard about certain situations where I could have steered it there, but no, not at all. Because again, that's not what I'm about, and that's not the impression that I want to give anybody, for one, who comes into my home, and for two, anybody that they might tell. Because again, people are going to talk.
Right.
Nonstop.
So I cannot control what they say, but I can control what they cannot say. You know what I'm saying? Like when you come to my house, you can never say that my living room floor was dirty. You can never say that because my living room floor is always clean. So if somebody hear you say that my living room floor was dirty, they know damn well you lying.
Right.
So again, I can't control what you say, but I can control what you can't say. You can't say that. You cannot say that. Like you can't say I didn't show you good hospitality. Right. You just can't say it.
I can let you in and you can be a pleasant person, or I can let you in. You say shit like that. It's like, well, there's the door.
Yeah, and not even there's the door, because I'm not even gonna let the situation get to where I feel like I need to show you the door. I feel like when you come into my home, I'm not the master and I control this. No, not at all. But at the same time, I carry myself with a certain level of decorum, and I expect you to match me.
That's awesome. Yep.
I love this guy.
Don't. I was thinking when you said the living room floor. I'm sorry. I was thinking the whole time, like, hope he doesn't look at my living room floor when he goes upstairs because it's dirty. I was like, I was thinking
it's one of the things where it's like you want to be representable. You're like, okay, you tie it up a little bit. You don't have to get it like spick and span unless you got someone great coming in. But like at the same time,
see, I don't like that statement right there where you say unless it's someone great. They're all great. I feel like they all deserve the same level of hospice. Yes. Whether it's but
it's the amount of respect they have for it.
That part right there.
Yeah,
that makes the difference too. That makes the difference.
Sir, this is a nice house. Like, wow, look at these paintings in school.
When I was pulling up, I was talking to my friend on the phone, and when I was coming downstairs, I was like, "Oh, these houses nice." Try to, because again, I didn't know what I was coming into. Right. I didn't. So, but when I pull up and I'm like, "Oh, these houses kind of big," I'm like, "Oh, this is nice." You know what I'm saying? I gotta sit up a little straighter and carry myself different. Not so much because trying to fit in where I don't fit in and nothing like that. But again, just because I know how I want to be represented and I know how I want people to see me. So I'm not gonna say I act a certain way. I just have adopted certain behaviors into my everyday, so that's always how I am.
I have a certain rhythm, so I always wait for the guests in the garage. Today I wait for you in the dining room. I saw you pulled on, so then I came out. But usually I wait for them, and then they come in, get the photo. Then there's like a little system, but it's a hospitality kind of system where they feel welcoming. And
since we're talking about hospitality, I want to know why I wasn't offered a drink.
No
water, no soda.
That's because I was out of.
I say we got water.
We usually keep the system is you get the photo, people on the pot, and then when you come down the steps, there's a water bottles there where you usually grab waters, but we just ran out of waters. I got to go back to Sam's. I'm sorry. Would you like a water though?
I would love a water.
Can you get a
please?
Water? Please.
Oh,
I can get a water.
I did that one time with my other guests.
Crazy. Yes, there should be one up there. But just so. I talked about the future, and then for next season, what day do you usually film your show on? Do you do it is it a weekly thing?
It's a weekly thing. I film on Saturdays.
On Saturdays, okay. And then when you're going to start your next season, or you're in the middle of the season right now?
I am wrapping up. Okay, so I only have one more episode to release for this season, and that's the season finale. And then that'll be done for season 2. Season 3, I will start filming for season 3. I'll plan to start filming sometime mid-March, and then I'll let that run. Last season was 10 episodes. This season is 14 episodes. I don't want to let it get past 20 episodes.
Yeah.
So I think next season I will. I know I definitely have 20 people interested. So it'll be those 20 episodes, and then I'll probably leave it at the 20 moving forward.
So you pre-record your shows and then you release them on Saturday. So they're like maybe a week postponed, or when do you?
Season 1, I was very quick to turn around. I recorded on Saturday. I released on Wednesday. Season 2, there was some other stuff going on in the background, so I had recorded like almost half the season before I even started releasing the episodes. Okay. So this season actually, which I found works really well. Next season, I'll definitely record some before I start releasing, but I won't do as many as I did this time, because sometimes when they talk about stuff, I tell them when the episode is going to get released so they can plan on what they want to talk about according to that time. But then when I get held back, they talking about stuff that's already happened. Gotcha. So I think for next season, that's again part of the growing process. So next season, I will definitely pre-record some before I start releasing, but it'll be a closer span. Like this time, the span was probably like 8 weeks, but I think next time the span will be no more than 3 weeks. So 3 weeks before I'll record and then release it then.
Would your next step being moving into like a studio and doing it?
Probably not in season 3.
Nice.
The finale for this season 2 was done in front of it was a live taping. So thank you so very much. That one was a live taping, so I think that kind of broke the ice of me doing that part of it. For season 3, I will probably do 3 episodes live, the finale, maybe the mid-season finale, and then maybe another special episode in there somewhere.
Okay.
And then if I continue my growth pattern that I have been doing now, then by season 4, I can probably look into possibly doing a studio audience. But then again, it heavily depends on how season 3 goes.
Right. And are you having help with this? Is there people behind the camera helping you, or is this something like you're kind of like doing all in the editing?
There's me, and then I have a editor that edits the footage. So my process is kind of like yours, but a little bit different. When we sit down in before we sit down in the chairs, I turn my camera on. It's just the camera and a tripod, not this many cameras. It's just one camera.
Right.
But a camera sits on the tripod, and I push start.
Yeah.
I sit down and, kind of tell them how, another refresher of how it's going to go. And then I let them know at that point, if you need to go to the bathroom or do anything, please do it now. Because once we start talking, we're going to keep going until we get done talking.
Right.
And then that's just how we go. We go through the whole episode. At the end, I get up, I push stop. One and done.
Okay. And then for the marketing, like I find hard to do. I'm very good at building content and content out there. It's probably one of my skills, I guess. But what I'm horrible at is the marketing. I don't know how to really get the reach that I probably could or should. I depend on a lot of the artists to share the videos, and I share the videos. But like, YouTube's a lot different because there's all about like SEO words and different search words that kind of really help like certain views. Do you have any kind of advice for people out there that?
I'm probably as bad as you.
Oh, okay.
But
damn it, I was trying to learn something.
No, I do not know the secret. But what I do know is if you throw money at a situation, sometimes that solves it. So, So when I went, not so much this season, I kind of wanted to see my organic growth this season. But for season 1, I spent a lot of money on promotions. I did a lot of giveaways. I did a lot of, if you sign somebody up, you enter into a raffle, I gave away money. I paid for a lot of promotions on Facebook. I paid for a lot of promotions on YouTube. I spent several dollars in season 1 on promotion.
We've never done a giveaway. We should do a giveaway. We can do that. We've never done a giveaway.
People like free stuff.
Now, also, I should ask you earlier, have you ever thought about doing holiday specials?
Yes. Speaking of, I am going to do one for Valentine's Day.
Lovers
but
out there.
I wanted to, again, I wanted to grow a little bit first. I didn't want to, I think it was on the episode that you was on yesterday when you said how you started, you took a little bit of this, then you added another light, then you added another camera. And that was literally my process. As you can see how the background changed before your very eyes. So I literally did it little by little. So I want to grow a little bit more before I start doing like specific holiday specials. I am going to do one for Valentine's Day just because I feel like I'm at the point now to where I can do one. Like I probably wouldn't do like a Christmas or Thanksgiving, like not the major ones. Yeah. But the smaller ones, like Valentine's Day, yes, I will probably, depending on where my season falls, I'll probably do one for Juneteenth. Okay. Those types of holidays, I feel like I can grasp those.
Yes. I was thinking about doing that myself. Then we need a collab.
Well, listen, I am all about it. I'm all about it.
So this is your first. Obviously, you said it before, the first podcast you've been on. But do you get a lot of people reaching out, or do you have to still search for guests, or are you at the point where like it kind of feeds itself, where people
it's starting to feed itself now,
right?
It's starting, especially after this season.
Right,
it's starting to feed itself now. But season 1. Yeah, I was asking people. But again, those were already people that I knew, so it wasn't like I was really reaching out. But when I was planning for season 2, I must have inboxed like 1,000 artists. Like 1,000 may be a little much, maybe like 915, but a lot of artists. And, thank goodness the ones that agreed to come, they did come. So there were some, I'm not going to say no shows, but there were some scheduling issues with some of them. But I feel like the bunch that did show up and we got to record it was an amazing bunch. I thank them so very much still to this day. But But yeah, it was a lot of reaching out. A lot of reaching out.
Well, I think the show's great. We did. We got like 10 minutes left to do an hour. But do you have any questions?
So as far as what you've been doing, and I do love how you have like a cultural, like very, very nice cultural background. You definitely have class. You have presence.
Class.
Yeah, you do. You have class and presence, bro. So like, what is your like highest expectation? Like if you took your show to the next level, or if you took like people's ideas or their suggestions, like what will be your next big thing next to the podcast? Like what will be your next steps?
Would you get into acting, and would you do acting? And
if somebody came to me with a script and said, "Hey, we want you to be Joe," I would most definitely be Joe.
I could see you being.
I would definitely be Joe, or actor, Bill, or Tom, or Clarence, or whoever. But I don't think that's something that I would actively pursue.
Right.
So like entertainment wise, like would you still see that as your?
I will always do Please Have Ass. Yes. I mean, I would hope to be as big as Oprah, and not as far as the philanthropy and movie producing and all that, but as far as the show, yeah. I would absolutely dream to achieve that type of success. But I mean, even if I end up being a Ricky Lake. Or Jenny Jones.
Hey, I liked Ricky Lake. I liked
exactly. Yeah. Like as long as I can have some longevity and absolutely leave, a legacy and have some impact while I'm doing it, my dreams will be fulfilled. They really will be.
And I will say right now, I'm very proud of you. Like you've been doing this for at least, I believe, a year or so.
That's it. Just 1 year.
Wow.
Keep going.
Not even a full year yet. It won't be a full year to April. But yeah, you have to dedicate to what you want to do. You do.
I'll say that. Yep.
You do. Because if you don't believe in yourself, or if you don't have the dedication or the drive to want to succeed in it, then you won't. Like people think it's so easy to just cut the camera on and smile and talk. It's absolutely not. There's tons of research that goes in on the back end. There's trial and error. There is bad days. Like sometimes when I wake up on these Saturdays, I might not want to talk to no goddamn body. But you know what I mean? But I schedule this with them, and I have a commitment, and they committed to doing it. So I, wash my face and I get to it.
Get ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's what you have to want to do it. You have to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, or you don't want to succeed in it, you absolutely won't, because it will come off half-assed.
Right. I we were talking earlier about the you said nervousness but that's like the thing
like
is
both ends.
You sometimes I'm always nervous right before a podcast, but I know that I can't show it because if I set that energy, it's gonna be like it's gonna be coronavirus. Everybody's gonna catch it and be nervous, and so so that's one of the things too. So if you're like having a bad day and you come and you're kind of half-assing, well
they're gonna feel like they got a half-ass experience,
right?
And what you will not be able to say is that you got a half-ass experience on Please Have Ass,
right?
And that's something I always tell myself. I even tell you this too, like dedicating to what you do, whether it's this, whether paid or not paid, doesn't matter. You dedicating yourself to that because it's something that's your happy place. That's your home, like your foundation.
If I could set up interviews and talk to people Monday through Friday, and what I'm saying, be able to maintain my lifestyle, that's what I would do. But I'm not there yet, so I got to go to work. So I see y'all on the weekend, though.
And I always say this to myself, too. Like, it's something I've been knowing once, even before starting with Artists United, and on YouTube. Again, what you do is always going to be your main thing, if that's the case. But understand, even for all people watching at home, sacrifices will be made, whether it's with family or friends. I mean, if it's an emergency with family, okay, there you go. Yep. But anything else is like, okay, you can put more for them because that's your family,
right?
But also you want to put more for you because you don't want to leave your stuff behind. You don't want to leave it on the sideline.
Exactly. Again, like you don't know how many Saturdays I woke up from a late Friday night and I'm just like, like guys, I love y'all, but I got things to do. And then it was times where I was double booked, where I had to do Saturday and Sunday, and I like to party on the weekend. So but we have to say, hey, babe, I gotta go home. I gotta get some rest. I can't be having big puppy bags under my eyes. So
we can do makeup then.
Man, it's raw and unedited. What you see there is exactly what it is. Ain't no filters there. Ain't no makeup. I tell people when they come listen, there is no hair and makeup here. So you need
come natural, come fake.
Come natural, and that's it. Again, when I push the button, we start, and when we stop, I push stop, and whatever's there is there.
And I like to say, I'm definitely proud of you. You definitely seem like, again, you like the guy that kind of is very experienced with people. You're experienced with this social expectation. You know what to talk about. You know how to make people feel comfortable, want them to be themselves. And you're yourself. Mm-hmm. He's himself. I'm myself. Bow. I do want to see you grow. I definitely want to see you go from right here to like skyrocket.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is your first year out of the gate. I mean, Jesus, yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah, I wish I had some footage from the finale, because the finale I had all of the artists come back. They all did a performance. I had a couple of models that was on this season. They walked. I can't wait to the finale will be out next week. By the way, everybody, finale comes out next week. But I can't wait to air it. It is truly my crowning accomplishment for 2021. It most definitely is. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, I'll definitely be watching. So that's a please advice. Two quick questions before you leave. So Nook, and then what came with please advise? I think you kind of touched base on it a little bit, but why are you? Nook is a nickname for you, or
Nook is my nickname.
Yeah,
and everywhere.
Is there a backstory to it?
A backstory? Yeah. Okay, so when I was younger, that's what my parents' friends used to call me. I guess they just used to call me Nook. I don't know why, but they did. So once I grew up and, I came back home from leaving to go to the military, and I kind of got reacquainted with a lot of my parents' older friends, they would call me Nook. And I was just like, and at that time I was, kind of straddling the fence on a couple of things in life. So I needed a way to be not Tim. So there was Nook.
It's that you got the ego, you got the alter ego.
It started out that way.
I developed mine like 2 years ago.
As I became more comfortable with myself, I just merged the two, and I am he and he am I.
God, everyone has that too.
Please advise why please advise. I mean,
why the words please advise?
Yeah.
Okay, so funny story. Me and my best friend, the one that I told you that passed away, every time we would have conversations with each other about stuff that was going on in with our life, we would always end it with please. Like, he would call me and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and this, but I can also do that and that. Please advise. And I say, well, if you do this or if you do that, so it became kind of our thing. And like I said, we planned on doing the show together, and it was gonna be called Please Advise. So it just stuck.
You carrying on the legacy?
Yeah, I got to. It would be disrespectful for me not to.
Awesome. Well, definitely check it out. Please advise.
Yes,
I'm
please.
a fan of this podcast, and so definitely subscribe like I did. And Tim, Nook,
yes.
Man, I'm sorry. I'll get it right. Thank you for being on the podcast. I'd love you to come back on Keenan Show or come back on the network.
I will go wherever I am invited.
Okay. And so definitely check out Kick It with Keenan. Go ahead and do your shout outs.
Like I said, the host with the most got two shows coming on this weekend. On the 8th after 5 o'clock, we got prior engagements, and then on the 15th back at 1. So for those of you, if you want to on the 15th, you're more than welcome to come to the studio. You're more than welcome. I do not hesitate.
Is that a Saturday or a Sunday?
Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
okay.
I might need a reminder, but yes, I'm there.
Okay. All right, yeah. So like I said, anyone that does anything interesting, like what this guy did, again, hit me up. I got you. Whether podcast, entertainment, just you're a clown. I don't care. Just come on the show. We're definitely gonna have a good time. And like I said, we'd definitely like to have you on board, bro.
Thank you so very much. I'm honored, and I will be here. And the same goes for my show. Anybody out there that want to promote themselves, stand on what I would consider my platform and speak about it, by all means, hit me up. Please advise Nook.
And I'm sorry about the water. I meant to get you a water.
We'll learn.
Next time. You will learn. Because you will remember that Nook told you need to offer people something to drink.
Yes, so I'm going to take Nook because he told me please advise.
That was your takeaway.
So definitely subscribe to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs on YouTube and like the RC Night Network, and we will see you again tomorrow.